Welcome everyone to the third live Q&A. Thanks for joining us, participating. This one is going to be brief. I only have about a half an hour and then I need to run, but we're gonna rapid fire this one. Let's wait 5 minutes and then we'll get started here. Let's wait 5 minutes for 1 o'clock, the start time, and then we'll get going. I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee, then I'll be right back. Look forward to your questions. Two minutes, and then we'll get started. Just about at the top of the hour. We're going to get started here pretty soon, 1 minute. Okay, 1 o'clock. Let's get started. Thank you for tuning in, those who are just jumping on. Appreciate your attendance. We have lots of questions coming in from LinkedIn and Reddit. We're going to get to addressing those. Let's start with this is the third live Q&A. I'm Colter DeVries. I'm ranch broker. And I'm the one launching the direct participation program. I am the general partner. So this is your opportunity to get to know me directly, ask me questions directly, and make sure I do a good job of answering them for you. I'm going to jump right into, since we're going to be short today, we're only going to do about a half an hour. I'm going to jump right into exclusivity and streamlining access, guiding limited partners in navigating a DPP ranch investment as a passive investment. That's one thing to keep in mind, is that this is a passive investment for legal and tax reasons. That is imperative that a limited partner knows that and understands that. We have a few questions. I wanted to pull these up and start with, what will happen if 2 or more limited partners want to access the ranch at the same time, but want the ranch for themselves, claiming that the DPP still has some exclusive rights set for each of them? First off, I want it to be known that a limited partner only has rights that are stated in the partnership agreement. Those are your rights. The hunting and recreation access is an in-species distribution. It is a benefit. It is not a right. With timeshares, you have rights. This is not a timeshare. I don't claim to fully know or understand how timeshares work. I know how syndications work, and this is a GP-LP structure. So, answering the question, if 2 or more wanted to access the ranch at the same time, that would only take place during what would be called an open period. We don't have unlimited open access to all LPs. That's where the graduated bidding comes into play. That's where allocating those resource days, those in-species distributions, happens for the LPs. Is you must bid on the weeks of exclusivity that you desire. And that bidding takes place after a special draw has been done in Montana, so that if you have a rare tag, you're going to bid aggressively for the weeks of use, exclusive use that you would like. Other than that, there are open weeks, open access, but that's not during hunting season. That's during the summer to freely come and recreate as an in-species distribution. It's not a right. And that's going to be managed by a third-party vendor. That's a booking service that we plan on using for recreation, for managing and organizing participation on the ranch. However, that participation is viewed by the limited partner. I mean, it could be fishing in the summertime, horseback riding, four-wheeler riding. We make no discipline, subjective statements about what you should be doing, what you ought to be doing. That's not our position to take. So 2 or more people accessing the ranch at the same time for hunting is not going to happen, to answer that first question. All right, we're going to jump into quite a few more questions here. Government programs and conservation programs, tax subsidies, why is it important? Aside from it subsidizes taxes, okay. I don't fully follow the question here, but let's address it the best way we can. We anticipate maximizing and optimizing government programs and conservation programs. That's LRP, PRF, those are subsidized insurances. There's CRP grasslands. We plan on using both, enrolling in both. There is CSP, EQIP. We plan on enrolling in both, using both. Our goal is to optimize government programs. We like the idea of having the taxpayers subsidize your return, and we're not going to make any buts about it. That's, if those programs are available, we will use them and we will optimize them. So subsidizing your return, yeah, that's the name of the game. That's why, part of the reason why we are doing this. That's how we offer a 5% hurdle rate. That's why I'm confident we can offer a 5% hurdle rate. So how can government programs benefit the DPP ranch in the long run? Well, that's multivariate in that answer. That would be, it can improve cash flow. It can improve resiliency. So drought, fire, severe storm events. Some of these government conservation programs, they help you with practices, subsidizing your technical assistance on practices. There are overheads, cross-fencing, water development. So those, think of it as you can improve the ranch. That helps it improve the capital infrastructure. That helps it on the long run. You can improve the cash flows over the long run. That's going to improve, help the DPP, because you will be reinvesting in those cash flows. There's conservation enhancements. And since we are in a way monetizing wildlife and recreation, that's going to benefit the value of the ranch in the long run. So I look at it as cash flow, capital appreciation, conservation, wildlife. I mean, those government programs, we wouldn't do them if we didn't think that they were going to have a positive ROI. And of course they do, because they're subsidized. Many of them are something you wouldn't take on otherwise. You wouldn't do that privately, which is why USDA implements them. All right, let's jump to question number 3. What agricultural activities in the ranch are perfect for government programs? Okay, so the question is, what programs do ranches primarily use, or this one particular ranch specifically? And I'm going to go back to cross fencing. You can always have more cross fences to increase your paddocks, decrease your paddock size, increase your rotations, increase your rest periods, shorten your duration of grazing. That's always number one. Along with cross fencing comes more water development. So that's pipelines, stock tanks, springs, wells. Those are all important. There are also programs for riparian habitat, and that is to improve streams, stream beds, banks, making sure that there is not wind and water erosion, sedimenting the creeks. So that's good for fishing, keeps the water colder. That's good for the fish habitat. There's a couple programs there. I'm trying to think of other ones directly that are widely utilized. Those are the big ones. As you might be thinking, yes, carbon sequestration, carbon credits, the carbon markets, that all comes from additionality. So if the government is paying you to improve your rotations, which improves your soil organic matter, then you're going to prove additionality, and you can sell into the carbon market some of the credits that you're creating. So of course we're going after that. That's why we're doing this. How long until ROI with this DPP investment? Well, you don't achieve your internal rate of return, your IRR, as a limited partner, as an LP. You don't achieve that until exit, until liquidation, which, as a term LLC, per the partnership agreement and operating agreement, this is 10 years. So it is illiquid. You should intend on having that placement for the entire 10 years. And that's after that is when return of capital plus profit. Question number 5. If one LP wants to change something in the ranch, suggest livestock, projects, is he allowed or not? If allowed, will the GP reach out to all LPs, create a meeting or an assembly to get their opinions? And that is an absolute no. The LPs cannot influence a GP's decision. That removes their tax status as passive, for one. It also removes, per case law in Delaware, their ability to hold the general partner accountable, to hold me accountable to their preferred return, or in this case, their internal rate of return, the hurdle rate. So no, you cannot influence a GP's decision making. And this is not a C corp where there's voting, and this is not a co-op. This is not in the LLC. It's disclosed. There is no quorum or consensus. This is GP's best knowledge, acting in the best interest of the LPs. Fair question, though. How about a family or friend of an LP would like to visit the ranch? Will they be allowed to, or do they need to inform the GP along with an authorization from the LP? Yeah, that goes back to, we don't want to be so restrictive as to we're micromanaging how, when, and who accesses the ranch on their weeks of exclusivity. So long as you have secured your week of exclusivity, it is yours. It's your responsibility and your accountability. And that is organized and managed via our third-party booking service. So there will need to be some authorizations and disclosures made, but it's not unlike if my wife were to book the Airbnb and then I use it, which we do all the time when I travel. It'd be the same thing. So yeah, you can send your family out there and a friend when you have secured your weeks of exclusive use. Fair question. Okay, question number 7. If 2 or more LPs arrive at the ranch and want the ranch for themselves, how will you ensure exclusivity is still present? Got a lot of questions about exclusivity this last week. That won't happen. 2 or more cannot arrive at the same time unless it's in the summertime when we have fairly open access, but not during hunting season. During hunting season, it's exclusive. You've reserved the weeks that you need based on what your desires are, based on if you have a tag or a certain type of game that you're chasing. That's what would lead you to the winning bid in the progressive bidding system for that week. So there would not be another LP showing up at the same time. Number 8, what if an LP brought their own livestock and deemed to have rights using the ranch and grazing land for his cows or sheep? They would be trespassing. The grazing is leased out. So that is a right that a lessee has entered into, and me, the GP, I have given them a leasehold estate. Grazing is exclusively identified as belonging to the lessee. That's how you create a return. You can't have tragedy of the commons. But I get it. That's That's a fair question. That's in the operating agreement and the partnership agreement. I would hope you wouldn't have the desires or intention to come just drop off a bunch of your own cows, your own sheep and livestock, because it's not what you're signing up for. That's management's responsibility. That's my responsibility. That's how we create a return. That's how we create revenue for the LPs. Okay. Well, that took 15 minutes, halfway through. Please shoot us a question. Glad to have participation and questions coming in from Reddit, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, elsewhere. I'll be here for a couple more minutes. Please do. I'm gonna give you a second here to come up with some questions. Well, if I've done such a good job of explaining that today based on the Reddit questions, I think we're going to call it a day. I do got to get running, so thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you at the next one. If you have questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. Shoot us an email, social media, however you'd like to get in touch with us. We'll see your questions and comments. We do appreciate the feedback. And then please keep tuning into our podcast. We've had some great guests lately. Clint Bronger, world champion bull rider. Very interesting gentleman there. I've had a lot of good positive feedback on that. And also check out the Old Salt Music and Food Festival coming up here in a couple weeks in Montana. We have a podcast on that as well. Very progressive, interesting ranching family from Western Montana. So tune into that. Otherwise, thanks for tuning into this third live question and answers.